Hello everyone, my name is Sonali, here presenting to you this educational video as part of an initiative by DGHE Haryana. Whenever we think about holidays or vacation, we think of beaches and hill stations, and the most important thing about them is the view or scenic beauty. Oceans, rivers, mountains, and plants make them beautiful, calm, and relaxing places. So let's learn about one of such plants, Pinus, which makes those places more beautiful. In this video, we will talk about its classification and morphology of plant after a brief introduction to it. First, we will discuss classification of Pinus, followed by introduction to the plant in terms of its habit, diversity, and distribution. After that, we will look at morphological features of its roots, stem, and leaves. So, let us start with the classification. Here, the classification system followed is that of Pilger and Melchior system given in 1954. They considered gymnosperm as a polyphyletic group of organisms, which means a group of organisms derived from more than one common ancestors. This group was equivalent to division. Under gymnosperm, they recognized three classes: Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida, and Netopsida, and put Pinus under class Coniferopsida. It is a large group comprising of true cone-bearing plants, linear or narrow-shaped leaves, pycnoxylic wood, which is a very compact wood, and seeds with bilateral symmetry. Pinus is placed under the order Coniferales of Coniferopsida. Coniferales is a large group of plants distributed mainly in temperate regions. They are woody, perennial, tall plants, exhibit dimorphism in branching and leaves. Coniferales is further divided into 7 families depending upon features such as arrangement of foliar leaves on stem or branches, extent of fusion of bracts and ovuliferous scales, their arrangement on cone axis, arrangement of microsporophylls on cone axis, number of ovules, and microsporangia on their respective sporophylls. Now, Pinus was placed in family Pinaceae, which is a monophyletic group. That is, all the organisms of this group had one common ancestor. Members of this group are mainly trees, which are mostly evergreen, with resin ducts, needle-like leaves, winged pollens, and polycotyledonous condition, etc. Now, let us take a look at habit and general features of Pinus. According to the fossil records, Jurassic period is considered time when they originated. Pinus is a woody, perennial, evergreen, highly branched tree. It is a tall tree with a varying range of heights depending upon the species. They can be of 3 meter tall, 15 to 20 meter tall, or 30 to 45 meters tall. They occur in as pure forests of pinus trees only, as well as mixed forests, that is, they occur along with many other types of trees or plants which may or may not be gymnosperms. They are mainly found in colder conditions, especially temperate regions. They bear two types of leaves, that is, exhibit dimorphism, and they are scale leaves and foliate leaves. Plant bear hard woody unisexual cones, that is, male and female reproductive structures are borne on separate cones. They produce winged pollens which help in wind pollination. They form multiple cotyledons for a single embryo. Polycotyledonous embryo is one of its feature. Plants part produce resins in resin ducts, which is of commercial value. Its wood is a good source of timber and is used extensively by local people. Burning wood gives a fragrant smoke. The dry and fallen needles can easily catch fire, and since they cover the forest ground, they can easily cause forest fires, especially in summer seasons. Next is diversity of pinus. All over the world, there are around 100 species of pinus present. They differ from each other in number of needles, height, branching, shape of tree, cones, their arrangement, etc. In India, we have 6 species of pinus that are indigenous. They are Pinus Roxburghi, commonly known as cheed pine, Pinus vallisiana, commonly known as blue pine, Pinus Insularis, also known as khasi pine, Pinus Gerardiana, known as chilgoza pine, Pinus Aramendi, known as Chinese pine. It is actually a Chinese species but has also been found in India. Pinus mercusi, also known as Mercus pine. Let us take a look now at how these species look different. Now this image is of Pinus Roxburghi. As you can see, it is a tall tree reaching up to 40 meters of height. Also, you can see the green leaves and the branches are restricted or are present only on the upper portion of the tree. The 2/3 of the tree is branchless. The trunk of the tree is branchless. Usually, older branches fall off, leaving a scar. Next is Pinus vallisiana, also known as blue pine. The peculiar features of this species are, first of all, the needles are bluish in color, which gives its name, the blue pine. Second, the needles are drooping, that is, they are like falling down, pointing towards the ground, not upright. The plant can grow up to 40 to 45 meters tall and is highly branched. The main trunk is not branchless as was in Pinus Roxburghi. Next is Pinus Insularis. also known as Khasi pine because it's mainly found in Khasi and Jaintia hills in eastern India. The morphological feature that can be easily seen is the branching in this tree is very widespread. The branching is not like that of earlier two species. If you have noticed, the earlier two species were conical in shape, but this plant has branches spread outside like a normal tree, not like a conical tree. Next species is Pinus Gerardiana. It is a huge tree with long branches. It is of proper conical shape. The lower trunk is not that branchless as was the Pinus Roxburghi. It can grow up to height of 15 to 22 meters. It is a giant tree which also has big or large sized cones. Next species is Pinus Aramendi. It can grow up to 35 meters of height. It is a highly branched species. Next is Pinus Marcusi. Pinus Marcusi is more like Pinus Roxburghi and can grow up to height of 15 to 30 meters. Now let us take a look at how these species are distributed geographically. Pinus mainly grows at higher altitudes, and in India it is mainly distributed along the Himalayan region. First of all, Pinus Roxburghi. It is found along western Himalayas extending to Bhutan and eastern Nepal region at 460 to 1500 meters of altitude. Second is Pinus vallisiana and is common in western Himalayas in Kashmir Valley, Shimla, Chakrata and Mussoorie, and extends towards eastern Nepal region at altitudes of 1500 to 3000 meter. Third, Pinus Insularis. It is restricted to Garo, Khasi and Jaintia hills in the eastern regions of Himalayas in India at an altitude of 800 to 2000 meters. Next, Pinus Chiradiana. It occurs in northwestern Himalayan regions in Tibet, Kashmir and in pockets of Himachal at 1800 to 3600 meters of altitude. After this, Pinus Aramendi. It is also restricted to northeast Himalayas, northeast regions, especially Arunachal Pradesh at 1500 to 3600 meter of altitude. And the last one is Pinus mercusi. It is a special species because found in hills of Andaman and Nicobar Islands at lower altitude, that is 150 to 170 meters, which is lower as compared to the other species. Moving on to next topic of this lecture, let us see what the general morphological features of Pinus are. We will start with the basal structure of the plant, that is roots. Root of Pinus is taproot type of system. Like in taproot, here one primary root is present which arises directly from the embryo and continues to grow because of presence of root apical meristem. It is highly branched. Now we can study root of Pinus under two categories: long roots and dwarf roots. If we go in detail, first, long roots are those roots that arise from primary root as lateral branches. These are long in length and penetrate deep into the soil. They are highly branched, giving out more secondary, tertiary root branches. Their tips are protected by root cap, hence able to penetrate deeply into the soil. Also, they have meristematic tissue which helps in their indefinite growth. These roots undergo secondary growth inside. Old roots turn woody because of secondary growth. These roots constitute major portion of Pinus root system and helps the plant absorb water and mineral nutrients from the soil as major function. Now, the second type is of dwarf roots. They arise from lateral root branches or long roots. They are shorter in length and are present near the soil surface. Root caps are absent in them, hence cannot grow deep into the soil. They are less branched, and when branched, it's of dichotomous type. That is, the tip of apex divides into two equal branches. Nodulated structures have also been observed sometimes. These roots do not show secondary growth in them. And this is where fungi comes in the picture. Ectotrophic mycorrhizal fungi is present in symbiotic association with Pinus dwarf roots and forms mycorrhiza. They form a superficial network on the surface of dwarf roots and cover them completely with their mycelium. Some may enter the cortex, but as the name suggests, they do not penetrate the cortical cells in Pinus roots. They remain in the space, cell wall space or intercellular space only. The structure hence formed is known as Hartig's net. Fungi of Basidiomycetes family Bolitaceae and Agaricaceae are the main types of fungi which form mycorrhiza with Pinus roots. The main function of these roots is to help absorb mineral nutrients like phosphorus, which is difficult to absorb without the help of fungi by the plant itself. In this slide, you can clearly see the dichotomously branched dwarf roots of Pinus covered with whitish colored sheath-like structure, which is mycelial network of fungi Amanita muscaria. It is a Basidiomycete. Now we will look at morphological features of Pinus stem. Pinus stem is hard, woody, erect and highly branched. It has active apical meristem on the apex of main stem, which keeps growing, producing lateral branches. You can see in the picture also of Pinus Roxburghi, as the stem grows, rate of growth in apical region is more than growth rate of branches, which results in long branches towards the lower region and shorter new young branches as we move towards the top. This is also known as acropetal growth pattern, and this gives the pine its conical canopy. The lateral branches arise spirally on the main axis and are very much horizontal, that is, parallel to the ground. Older branches fall off the main stem, leaving scars. Surface of the main stem and branches is covered with the scars left of fallen branches or shoots and fallen scaly leaves. Now let us look at dimorphism of branches. There are two types of branches in Pinus. One is branch of unlimited growth and the other is branch of limited growth. The branch of unlimited growth is also known as long shoot. They arise from apical buds in the axils of scale leaves on the main stem. They have indefinite growth potential and hence grow longer, giving out more lateral branches. Whereas the branch of limited growth, also known as dwarf shoot, are born in the axils of scale leaves but do not have apical meristem to ensure their indefinite growth and do not undergo branching. Instead, they form leaves. Now, in this picture, you can see long main stem of Pinus Roxburghi. More than half of it is branchless and branches are present only in upper region. Older branches have fallen off. Here is a closer look at the main stem of Pinus. These patterns you see are the scars of fallen branches and scale leaves. This pattern is not common in all woody plants as they do not have such scars, but you can find them in many gymnosperms like cycas. And here is a picture of young stem of Pinus. Here you can see some green spots. These are actually apical buds formed in the axils of scaly leaves or primary green leaves. They later develop into branches of unlimited growth. Now, the last part of plant to discuss is morphology of Pinus leaves. Pine leaves are borne on dwarf shoots and are again of two types, that is dimorphic leaves. One is scale leaf and the other is green needle-like foliar leaf. Scale leaves are single, small, brown, scale-like structures. They are hairy and are borne directly on the stem or branches. Their main function is to provide protection to apical buds and foliar leaf. Second type is of green needle-like leaves. They are long, needle-like and, as the name suggests, green colored. These type of leaves are present singly or in bunch of 2, 3, 4 or 5 needles. This bunch at base is covered with outer and oppositely placed profiles, and next to profiles are present 6 to 8 white sheet-like cataphyls. The needles are free at tips. This bunch of needles is known as spur. Remember, spur is bunch of needles borne in axil of scale leaves, but dwarf shoot is bunch of needles together with scale leaf borne on stem or branch. Do not confuse spur with dwarf shoot. Now, function of these needles, these green colored needles, is to perform photosynthesis. Now, two more points to remember are that first, in younger pine plants, the leaves are only of one type, that is single green needle. They are known as primary leaves. And second, the number of needles in a spur vary from species to species and is their unique characteristic. In this picture, you can see single green needle-like primary leaves arising from the young stem. And here you can see a young branch of pine tree. It has dwarf shoots. You can also clearly see its surface is covered with scale leaves where needles have fallen, and in younger portion in the axils of the scale leaves are spurs produced. Here next to it is a single dwarf shoot with a scale leaf and profils, cataphyls covering the needles at the base. Now this is a closer look at dwarf shoot. In the second picture, you can see brown colored scale leaves clearly, and you can also see that they are covered with hairs, and above that white sheath like cataphyls are present. Now this is a diagrammatic picture of pine shoot. Here you can distinguish between what is a long shoot and what is a dwarf shoot easily. Now that we have come to an end of this lecture, I would like to take leave with a small and easy exercise for you all. You have to find out how many needles are present in the spur of following Pinus species. Hope this lecture helped you understand the plant Pinus better. Thank you for watching.